2025, are you ready to rock? Dave's Killer Bread is ready to rock 2025 and your reset this January with killer taste, killer nutrition, and a killer sweepstakes to win a VIP concert prize pack with round-trip airfare, luxury hotel stay, and much more. Text RESET to 73876 and enter for a chance to win. Dave's Killer Bread. Bread amplified. No purchase necessary. Visit daveskillerbread.com/reset for details.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show. I'm echoing a little bit because I'm trying to kill time because my partner, Sackhead Clint, decided he didn't want to be... All right, well, he didn't decide. So here's what happened. Everybody knows in the studio we have a couple of requirements in order for the show to, go off without a hitch, which I don't think it's ever happened, but we have these things in place hoping that someday, maybe just once, it'll happen. So Sackhead Clint had to go out because we get a call from our beer distributor. Now, hear me out on this. Normally, we get our deliveries on Wednesday at about 6:30, and the distributor fell through. And in order to have the show be as sackheady as humanly possible, I sent Clint to the beer distributing shop. Now, we had to get away from going to just a liquor store. And the reason being is you get a better price when you buy in bulk. Well, we are all about thriftiness here at the Sackhead Studios, which, by the way, if you haven't seen the SHR Media Studios and you're interested, if you go to shrmedia.com, halfway down the first page, you can take the video tour with me and Clint last week. But yeah, so in order to fill the walk-in cooler with mental lubrication juice, i.e. beer, we had to go buy direct at the distributor. So for the next few minutes, you're stuck with numero uno, me, I. Everyone relax. Don't all clap at once. I know it's exciting. We do have a lot to talk about this week. The New Hampshire Primaries last night, which, by the way, if you didn't catch all the coverage over at High Plains Media and Sackheads Radio, or SHR Media, if you didn't catch all the coverage last night, you missed some great coverage. Dan Butcher from High Plains, I can't say enough good things about what he does over there and what he does for us. And he put together an amazing show last night. And if you didn't check it out, shame on you. I checked it out a bunch of different times. I wish I could have been a part of it, but I was unable to. Also, we're starting a new segment. We had Dare Joe Biden for a long time. And earlier this week on Facebook, which you can find me on Facebook, Sackhead Sean, the exceptional one himself, Kenneth McClinton, and the Reaver of Common Sense, Jersey Joe. Jersey Joe shared a video, and I don't remember what it was, or shared a picture. But the only thing that I could possibly think of was Deep Thoughts with Joe Biden. Oh, it was a picture of Joe Biden, and all it said is, you put bread in the toaster, and toast comes out. What happens to the bread?
Nothing.
Oh, hold on a second. I'll turn you on when I'm ready. And that kicked off the Deep Thoughts with Joe Biden kind of kick. And we put a bunch of them there. And I think that we need to make that a page like we used to do with Dare Joe Biden because there was some really good stuff that came out of it. So, you know, one of the things that Deep Thoughts with Joe Biden is, why is abbreviated such a long word? Deep Thoughts with Joe Biden. So things like that. So I want to start a page on our website for Deep Thoughts with Joe Biden. And there's a great picture that we'll use for it. So we're going to get down to that. Now,
there's a great what?
Picture.
Yeah, Pitchers and Catchers starts in a few days.
Just a few days. I explained to
That's
everyone.
not what we're talking about.
I explained to everyone how we had a problem with the beer distributor this week, and you had to go and physically go to the distributor because now we buy bulk, the liquor store tab.
Right.
I'm not saying our credit there was horrible, but what I'm saying is it got a little pricey. So we buy direct from the distributor now to save on overhead.
Yeah, and the thing that most people don't realize is with some places you can actually hire some of their employees, like sublet, to come, and they will set up a small little mini brewery of their beer in your studio, for example.
Right.
And the price is really, really good if you do it at gunpoint, which is weird. I mean, who knew, right?
That it's all about the power of negotiation.
That they were such 2A supporters.
And right off the bat, a great thought. Deep Thought with Joe Biden. Can pandas be racist?
Of course they can.
No, they're both black and white.
Right.
So
it depends
can
on...
they hate some of themselves?
Yes.
I mean, you can be a self-hater, I guess.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean...
Deep Thoughts with Joe Biden.
Deep Thoughts with Joe Biden.
We were all white at one point, so why does racism exist? Referring to sperm, I suppose. That's a deep thought with Joe Biden. Where is the flaw in that?
If nothing sticks to Teflon, what makes Teflon stick to the pan? That's the good Reverend Dr. Jones. The underground professor himself, who we love dearly. Another person. So I got asked this past month a lot about 13 Hours movie and our time with Chris in Vegas. And, of course, everyone's trying to dig for the kind of behind-the-scenes info because now it's on the forefront of everyone's mind again.
Right.
But one of the things that I was thinking about is, all the great people that we met there, but the underground professor, who might be one of the craziest individuals I've ever met in my life, in a good way. Not like batshit crazy, walking around in his underwear, in a grocery store crazy.
Like me.
Right, like you. Right, exactly.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Remember that one time we were...
I got the call and had to come get you. Yeah, it was funny.
Story.
But I mean in like a happy, jovial, always having a good time sort of way.
Right.
And like everyone else that we worked with out there, he's a brilliant man. He's absolutely a brilliant man.
Who are we talking about?
The underground professor, not you. Nice try. But he also, no matter what, had a smile on his face, was amazing to engage and talk to, but might be one of the funniest sons of bitches I've ever met in my life. And then when you talk to him off the air, might be one of the most interesting, engaging individuals. His history, his service, his everything. He's just a great storyteller.
Chris?
The Underground Professor.
Oh. Because all that sounded like Chris.
And if you don't listen to the Underground Professor show, shame on you, damn it. Shame on you, along with all the other great shows.
Because I was telling a Chris Peranto story earlier. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Something about sports book somewhere.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly how it went down.
Yeah, well, why would we remember that?
I love the fact that at one point I was going to Starbucks to get a coffee downstairs. And I said, Chris, do you want anything? He's like, where are you going? I said, Starbucks. He's like, yeah, I'll do a quad shot. And I kind of got the look. And then, or a whiskey if they have it.
Right.
So, either one, it's rocket fuel either way.
And what's funny is, like, we had the same order. Right. Because we could also go either way with that
It's stuff. Whichever one I pass by first. The
right.
bar or
and
the
being
coffee
in
stand.
Vegas, it's
it
the
was
bar.
A 50-50
most of the
in
time,
that place, though.
we had when you're right next to the Starbucks. Otherwise, it's
that's what made it 50-50. We were literally standing above the Starbucks the entire time. The bar was across the floor.
Right.
I still consider that a 50-50.
Right. Hey, what time is it? Yeah, we're on in like an hour.
Noon somewhere. Let's go.
Yeah, I got time for one.
Well, I think it was Wednesday
Whiskey.
morning. I had an Irish coffee before we even went on the air. So.
Well, it's because you need a little hair of the dog.
Yeah. Well, Tuesday night was a long night with you guys.
Well, after a 2 a.m. call. I mean.
Oh, poor Sacco. Anywho.
I can't believe they shaved him like that.
I didn't either. I didn't believe it. I didn't recognize him whatsoever. He looked like a naked mole rat.
Right. Picture this. Picture Chewbacca and then shaved.
Right. With the naked mole rat with the teeth and just this little like non-furry little pink.
Hang on, I'm going to have to Bing this picture. Naked
mole rat.
Hang on, I need to put mole rat, otherwise I'm going to
don't just hit naked and hit enter. That's always bad.
Is it really?
Well, usually.
Okay.
It's never what you want it to be. It's never what you want it to be.
That's going to be a tagline for the book I'm writing. Oh my gosh.
So how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Good.
Went zombie hunting.
Nice. Did you get any?
Actually, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, literally almost shot one
Uh-huh.
as he came stumbling up to the truck,
Uh-huh.
like to the window, beeline, like not saying anything.
Right.
Glazed over face.
Right.
Right, and then like.
And you said, Paul, what are you doing here?
Right, I said, big fat Paul. He then I might have looked like I was gonna like pee myself or be really scared because that's scary. He then went, so I was up like at this boat ramp, and he then went down the boat ramp towards the water where there was a bunch of geese and a bunch of water, and he dipped down, and this water is disgusting. There's like fungus on it, and obviously there's a bunch of.
Is he a Democrat? Well,
yes, he was.
On the
he was
description
probably
so far,
a Democrat. Yeah, sounds
yeah.
like a Democrat or a
progressive either way.
99 riser
yeah,
or something,
like
right?
That.
And goes down where this nasty, scummy water is and there's geese poop and duck crap.
Well, and fish make love in it.
It gets better.
Okay.
He washes his face with it.
Well,
why wouldn't you? Because zombies, right? It needs to try and be clean. He then proceeds to drink the water.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, yeah. Scoops up this slimy, fecal matter infested pond water and drinks it, like swishes it out, rinses out his mouth.
Oh, man.
And then proceeds to drink it and stands up and looks like, do you know the story of Paul we tell?
Yeah.
Where he's coming, like we see him later in the night and he kind of looks at us but doesn't recognize us.
He's not seeing us, it's through us.
Right,
yeah.
and he's kind of half doing that sideways
it's
walk
not even
with
the
one shoulder
1,000-yard
down.
stare, it's like the curvature of the earth stare. Like, he could see over the curve of the earth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he does that, like looks I want to say makes eye contact, but doesn't, because it's just, and has that zombie walk complete with like the shuffling feet, and then goes back out into the darkness from whence he came. And I thought to myself, I said, wow, if I had a gun and a bullet, or as I prefer to call it, chlorine for the gene pool,
right,
we could have solved this little issue. Because I'm pretty sure that was a legitimate
zombie
right. sighting.
The undead has begun.
Because who else drinks scummy, fecal, duck goose poop water besides Big Fat Paulie when he's drunk?
Well, you can feed him anything when he's drunk. It doesn't even matter.
You can't.
No, that's not a shoe, Paul. Keep chewing.
That's another story.
That's another story whatsoever.
So that was my week. That was my zombie sighting for the week.
Oh man! Well, I'm glad.
You're glad that.
I'm glad that you lived through it.
Oh well, yeah. I'm faster than most zombies.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Rule number 1 is cardio. Do you ever see Zombieland?
Yes.
Rule number 1, cardio. We have a ton to talk about tonight.
There's nothing that happened this week. Let's go home.
Yeah, let's just call it a day. Let's discuss insurance adjusters. Where do we want
to? Let's. I want to wait to get to the caucuses. Notice how I said that without giggling this week.
I'm so proud of you.
Right?
I love how you say it like it's an accomplishment.
Listen, have you listened to the last couple weeks? And you tell me that is not an amazing accomplishment that I just said caucus without giggling.
I'm now laughing at you for not laughing.
But now I'm laughing.
Because you're such a child. Anyhow.
Hang on a second. Our childrenness today?
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Childrenicity?
Our cherub-like demeanor?
Right. Is what's gotten us as far as we have.
Yes.
There's a reason why people either love this show or they completely hate this show. There is no middle ground with us.
Amazingly, it's usually the hate. Let's get to topics.
Right. Well, nothing happened this week. Yep. I do want to touch on a story. There in Maryland, 2 deputy sheriffs were shot and killed.
Tragic.
So,
sitting in a restaurant.
Well, yeah. So, SO deputy, sheriff's office deputy, gets a call of person acting erratically within the Panera Bread, and there was an individual sitting at the table, and one of the deputies showed up on scene. And from the stories that I've read, he sounds like he was solo. Well, he went in and he tried to contact the man. He sat down beside him, asked how the man was doing, and this is when the suspect produced a gun and shot the deputy in the head. He fell to the ground. There were other people and died later. He wasn't killed on scene. Witnesses put out a description of this individual, and as he fled, there was another deputy that encountered him. They exchanged gunfire. The deputy was hit, and the suspect was, I believe, he was killed, and that deputy also later died. So, look, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of both deputies who were killed in the line of duty, as well as the community that they served, and their brothers and sisters on the department as well who served with them. So tragic story, but wanted to get our thoughts out and our prayers out for the folks that are dealing with that tragedy over in Maryland tonight.
Yeah, it was horrible. The suspect so far, I know he's been wanted in 2 separate places, out of Florida specifically for assaulting a police officer, and I'm sure we'll get more information. But just another tragedy.
And one of the things that's tragic about this story, and again, my caveat to that is this: I don't know any more details about this story.
Right.
So that being said, my initial reaction to this, based on how the story seems to have unfolded, how the deputy sat down next to the gentleman and was asking him, I wonder if the mindset of that deputy was he was dealing with a mental health consumer, as opposed to a real bad individual.
Yeah.
Or dirtbag, I think, is the technical term.
Dirtbag is the technical term I think you're looking for.
Because you look at how communities, and we've talked about things like this on the show before, right? How the community perception and law enforcement, that relationship's really changed and transformed over the last year or so. And you have communities who basically don't want this militarized police force, and we've talked at length, ad nauseum about that, and I don't want to get into to that argument one way or another. But I'm wondering if there's a trend that is going to start with law enforcement agencies and whatnot to move more from that strict enforcement role to that deal with this mental health consumer, kinder, gentler feel to it. And I'm not saying that there's no place for that, but I'm wondering if that happened in this case.
Right.
If that's what happened in this case, and again, I'm not saying it is. I don't have all the facts. But if that's what happened in this case, then this is a tragedy that, in my opinion, could potentially have been avoided and may perhaps highlight the dangers of instilling that mindset only, or hammering that mindset into the minds of officers. And I can't reiterate this enough. I can't say what was in this deputy's mind, and I'm certainly not going to Monday morning quarterback it. I'm speaking more to the global issue of where we've seen and talked about the trend where American law enforcement has gone. And so my only question is, did that play a role here?
Right. Well, and you have to ask, because you look at Mesa, Arizona, another deputy was shot yesterday. He died today. They took him off life support, rather. Deputy Derek Rear responded to a teenager possibly with a gun. And I've read several reports now that as he approached the teenager, he hadn't produced the gun and had his taser out. And an altercation transpired. And before he could transition to his pistol, he was shot and killed. Well, officially, as of today, he died by this individual who should not have possessed a weapon. He was too young to possess a weapon, so let's not have the gun control talk. But the fact that he would go to a call of a man with a gun or a person with a gun and pull out a taser.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this is after the whole Super Bowl thing, but pull out a taser, it makes you wonder if, and we've talked to a bunch of cops about this, the fear of getting sued is such now that it's causing bad training, it's causing bad reactions. They're so afraid to do the wrong thing that they're putting themselves in harm's way versus trying to do the right thing.
Which is sad, because
and that's what I'm wondering if happened in this case.
And I don't
he
know.
Was afraid.
But that's what's sad, because look, you and I have read the FBI periodically they do a study. One of the decent things the FBI actually does, but they do a study
because it's paperwork.
Right?
It's
good point.
Crunching.
Yeah, good point.
It's the best thing that they do.
So listen, they get out their abacuses and their calculators, And they say, wait a second, we have an opportunity to do math. And
hey, guys, get your 8 vests. It's time to do some math. Yay!
Then we can go grab a drink at the FOP. Oh, we're not allowed in there. I forgot. So,
hey, guys, look, a statistic case. Calm down. Calm down. Pocket protectors, please. Get your pocket protectors, please. We have to be safe out there, folks. Have to be safe. You get the rubber thingy for your finger. Let's go to work, kids.
Occupational safety. Think occupational safety, right? We can't get paper cuts here. And everybody with your finger exercises, because we're really going to crunch some numbers today. So, but they do a study of law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty every so often. And you and I have read the reports on this because, like I said, we know a lot of folks in that business, and we do a lot of stories related to that sometimes. And one of the things that's in that study is officers that don't always use force or react the way they should.
Right.
And
everyone wants to highlight the very few instances where it's the wrong way.
Right.
But
look,
you don't see the overwhelming facts that it's actually, and by wrong way, I mean using force too excessive for the incident.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Everyone wants to highlight the few minute times that happens.
Right, and when that happens, it's wrong.
And when you look at the overwhelming statistics, I forget what the percentage was.
It's like 98-point-something% of all law enforcement contacts requires zero force whatsoever.
Right. And then the so-called wrongdoers are 0.0003 or 0.0002. Yeah,
something like that.
It's so minute, it's not even funny. But you miss the other percentage where officers are getting hurt because their guard was too low and or they were so worried about perception that even though they knew they should have done A, B, or C, they don't because they're afraid.
They did D.
Right. They're afraid to get the finger pointed at them.
Right.
You know?
Well, listen, have you ever had the finger pointed at you?
It's very evil.
It's very evil.
It is a nasty, especially mine. A little disjointed,
right?
Stubby,
right? Little Vienna sausage-looking thing.
Oddly long, considering the size of the girth.
No.
How about that one?
That finger's much better. I'm used to seeing that finger a lot, longer. Like all the time, mostly from my mom. So, look, you brought up the Beyonce Super Bowl halftime show.
Yes,
and. Was I the only one that was disgusted by that? I mean, like, to hear Hollywood, like, that was amazing.
Yeah, she can't dance. That's
such a statement.
That's kind of the odd part. But yeah, to have them fully out there in Black Panther's garb and doing this complete anti-cop. You know, we've talked about Hollywood having too much influence over children and youth. And I don't blame Hollywood as much as I blame the parents. However, an incident like that, I equate to... Do you remember when Sinead O'Connor ripped up a picture of the Pope on Saturday Night Live while she was singing? Or as I like to call her, Sinbad O'Connor.
Yes.
And everybody was outraged. And right, it's her right to her opinion.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do sometimes.
Right.
And people were appropriately outraged. Can you imagine if she did that to the Prophet Muhammad? Whoa, right?
Look, so here's my issue with it. Number one, if this is her statement and she wants to do this in artistic, I support her First Amendment right to do so all day long. Do I think it's ill-advised? Yeah. Do I agree with the message? No. Do I think the NFL should have sanctioned it as part of a Super Bowl halftime show where you have millions of people and families and kids watching and receiving that message? No. Not for that forum. I don't think it was appropriate.
I agree.
If she wants to do it on her own concert tour, one of her events that it's specifically Beyonce, hey, have at it, right?
Go for it.
I absolutely support that. I may not agree with your message, but I support your right to portray that message. And honestly, look, I support the NFL's right to have that in their halftime show, but do I think it was appropriate? And look, I don't. She had the dancers at one point came out and they did like an X formation, which was a reference to Malcolm X. And look, I have everybody that listens to this show knows that I have kids, and I had a conversation. One of the lessons that my 11-year-old had in school was they were studying Martin Luther King.
Right.
And I had an opportunity to talk to her about Martin Luther King and the message that he had. And really, Martin Luther King had a tremendous message.
Outstanding.
Right? It was all inclusiveness. It was one of peace and love. It was not one of violence. It was one of bringing everybody together. Truly a great man.
Hand up, not a handout.
In my opinion, absolutely. Whereas Malcolm X was, and I actually played for her because she said, well, what about Malcolm X? And I don't remember where she heard the name Malcolm X from. And I said, listen, Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King are two fundamentally different activists. And I said, this is kind of what you have to watch out for. And so played her a Martin Luther King clip, and she heard that speech. And are you really? Sean, I think, is about to put a video up through Twitter, or I don't know what he does with his whole Twitter machine thing. So, and then I played her, and then I played a Malcolm X piece for her. And look, it was filled with hate. It was filled with racism. He was talking about how it was the white person's fault and how violence is sometimes the answer. Two very different messages. I presume they want the same result, perhaps, although I believe Martin Luther King wanted equal justice for everybody. And Malcolm X was worried just about the black population.
Right.
But his means was radical in terms of violence and anger, and one of hate and separation and divisiveness, whereas Martin Luther King's was one of inclusiveness, togetherness, love, everybody in this together, not us versus them. Not really blaming, but wanting to bring people up to come together. Does that make sense?
Right. No, it makes totally good sense.
And this is why when like the healthcare law was passed and we talked about it, I was disgusted when I saw Pelosi and all of those people basically reenacting the civil rights picture. It was disgusting to me because it was just two completely separate messages. So to see the salute to Malcolm X really shows where Beyonce's mind is. Now she's also has a line of clothing or a hat or something, which is going to be sold, and all the proceeds are going to go to the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the proceeds, I don't know if it was from the song she sang or the video or whatever, are going to Black Lives Matter. And she's saluting Malcolm X through her dancers. Again, her First Amendment right to do. But it shows that she's not on the peaceful solution side.
Nope.
At least it would tend to show that, right? She's on the radical side that supports violence. The Black Panther Party, they are not a peaceful, inclusive group.
No.
pretty sure they're listed as a hate group.
Yeah, they were the same people that were protecting voting polling places.
Oh, you meant
with
not protecting. You meant...
Well, it's a matter of opinion, I guess.
Huh, okay.
But you know what I mean.
So to see this and this just outward display of disrespect and contempt for American law enforcement, to have the NFL sign on with that speaks volumes to me, particularly with the fact that, hey, who was protecting all of them while they were there?
Right.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
2025, are you ready to rock? Dave's Killer Bread is ready to rock 2025 and your reset this January with Killer Taste, Killer Nutrition, and a killer sweepstakes to win a VIP concert prize pack with round-trip airfare, luxury hotel stay, and much more. Text RESET to 73876 and enter for a chance to win Dave's Killer Bread. Bread amplified. No purchase necessary. Visit daveskillerbread.com/reset for details.
Right? And it made me, it really made me sad.
Yeah, it was cops. And people are pointing out, as Malcolm X got near the end, his message did get better. It was never really the same as Dr. King's.
Never.
But it softened closer to the end. Dr. King...
Yeah, closer to the end. But what was the majority of his...
Right. No, I'm just telling you what's going on in the chat room because I know you don't pay attention. That's all.
Did you post that rant, by the way?
Yeah, it's on YouTube
Hey,
right
we're
now.
up against the break. I'd love for Sean to tear into me right now with that cute little Boston accent of his, sitting over there all uppity. But we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about...
caucuses all over New
caucuses
Hampshire.
and all over Sean's face.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cop was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reaver of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com, you will catch the Reaver of Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on shrmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. So I went to upload I uploaded the video to YouTube, but I was going to share it via Twitter, the Twitter machine.
What Twitter machine? The Twitter box?
The Twitter box.
How do you turn it on?
But then I realized something. So I had to get a new phone this week. Because apparently the other one failed the road test.
Wait, what?
So they make these things like junk now. Do you remember the old Nokia phones that you literally could shoot out of a shotgun and kill somebody with?
Right, because we did it. Remember that one time we actually tried that?
Right, and it rang and you had to reach in and pull it out of the person. It still answered without a problem.
No. Well, the one we did actually went straight through.
Right.
Yeah,
and
I'm pretty sure
killed the person behind them.
Right, and that's the one we had to pull it out of.
They had disclaimers. So anyhow, I had to buy a new phone, which I love. I upgraded to the Samsung Note 5. Great phone.
Stop bragging. They don't want to hear you brag. Our listeners don't want to hear you bragging.
Every couple days, something will happen, and I'll be like, oh, let me check this. Ah, crap, I haven't downloaded it yet. So apparently Twitter's another one that I need to download and put on my phone. So New Hampshire last night.
Yes. I'm waiting.
I'm waiting. Everyone knew Bernie was going to be the popular, or was going to take it.
You know how I know?
Was going to be the
you know how I know New Hampshire is the most leftist state in the union?
Because they voted for a socialist.
Yeah, and who got number 2 on the Republican side? Right?
Well, yeah.
The progressive Republican.
Yeah, but and it's funny because, like I said, I was talking to, I have family up in Nashua, and I was talking to my brother-in-law who's a conservative, and he even said, this place is a lot better before all the massholes moved in. So he's blaming all the Massachusetts people who live up there for the primaries last night. Specifically Bernie, who has a good following in Massachusetts as well as New Hampshire and Vermont. Mm-hmm. You knew he was going to do well up there. It's his home. It's his home playing field. 60. He had 15 delegates to Clinton's 9. 60.4% to 38. Martin O'Malley had 0.03% of the vote. 0 delegates. Hey, Martin, why don't you do what Christie and Carly did today? And why don't you get the hell out? And not that I really care about the Democrats per se, but somebody's going to have a little, I like to call it a come to Jesus moment with you. This isn't working out. Nobody's interested. You're not all of a sudden going to become popular. You kind
wow, that was hurtful because you were staring at me the entire time you said that. Like I felt the sting of those words. I'm not going to lie. Do you know how many times I've had that said to me in my life?
You know how many times?
Like it started when it was with my mom.
You know how many times I've said it with you?
Right.
Twice today. That's actually the second time I've uttered those exact words.
Right, and the first one was actually in a voice text, which was weird. Right. It came to me as a voice file. I was like, why are you sending me this?
You're like, hey, look, Sean sent me a message, son of a bitch. On the Republic.
What you're hearing is Hardie Fiber Cement Siding living up to its reputation as the siding that helps resist weather damage, no matter what Mother Nature throws its way. James Hardie knows how important a reputation is, especially when you're a home builder. That's why Hardie products withstand the elements better than wood-based siding, with styles to match their strength. Because when home builders work with us, we deliver our best so they can look their best. Protect your reputation with exterior products by James Hardie.
Inside, you had Trump 35.3% with 10 delegates, Kasich 15.8% with 4 delegates, Cruz 3 delegates, 11.7%, Bush 3%, 11.0%, Rubio 3%, 10.6%, and so on and so forth. Those were all the delegate winners. Nobody else who was running got an actual delegate. Any major surprises there for you?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I was actually surprised that Kasich came in second.
Me too.
Yeah, I really was. Not that I really believe the polls, and by polls I mean the political polls, not the Polish people. And I had to clarify that because of a comment that just came through.
Hey, for the record, Ralph, who's in the chat room at shrmedia.com, he did point out that Hillary got more super delegates.
Are those the delegates with capes?
Or she got more delegates as overall than Bernie did because of the super delegates. I love that even...
That's ridiculous.
You know, and don't get me wrong, I love our way of government. I really do. Overall, I think our system's the best in the world. But it's always a little weird to me when you get down into some of the finite things, and you have things like super delegates. Why can't we all just be delegates? Why can't we all just get along?
And why are some delegates super? Like,
right.
What makes them so extraordinary?
Exactly.
And especially for the Democrats, aren't they all about fairness and equality?
That's specifically what I meant. Sorry,
right?
I should have articulated.
Yeah. They're about fairness and equality. Why is one delegate better than another?
The other one.
They're not.
Right. And why would Bernie not come out and say, hey, listen, Hillary, we got to drop our super delegates because in my way of government. By the way, in Bernie's way of government, they both won.
Right.
So if you're looking at the Bernie Sanders approach to government and voting, everybody won last night because everybody's equal and gets their fair share.
Well, yeah, because if he has more delegates or votes than Hill Dog does, then you have to take the difference of those votes because everything has to be equal. It's like grades or income or anything else.
Right.
Why is it fair that he got more?
Right.
That's not fair.
No, that's actually inequality.
Right. And that's what they're fighting against. So,
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But doesn't this really kind of go through to show you what it really is? Right? We're all equal except for me because I'm better than you, so I need to get more votes. But yeah, I just love... I was talking to someone the other day, and we giggled about this a few weeks ago, but the saying that's going down, a Bernie slogan, feel the burn. And I'm
is that because he had VD when he was younger?
I don't. Or is it because most of the people that vote for him have it now?
Which is possible, right? Right.
Yeah.
Or
the early 20-somethings, not too wise to the world.
Right. Don't really shower.
Don't understand how reality works.
Yeah.
Don't shower a lot. Don't come out of mom's basement all that often. So,
out of your mom's basement?
Anyone's mom's basement.
Their own mom's basement.
Yeah. No, they actually go to your mom's basement.
Because it's not fair that she has a basement and they don't.
Exactly.
Okay.
Squatters' rights, which in California essentially means you own a house now.
Right. And look, we've tried this. People don't realize how we got our studio. And they don't understand how we got because they kind of know, hey, yeah, listen, we had to pay studio fees and whatnot the first time we were trying to do this. And then we realized, as we started covering more and more and really kind of digging into California law about property rights and so forth, that we could actually find a property, set up our studio in it, and then they would have to evict us from it.
Right.
And we basically own and established ourselves in the property.
Right.
And here's the thing. So we leave for a day, take everything with us, and we come back and the whole process starts all over again.
Yes.
We've literally been here for 4 years.
And every single time Mr. C comes in, he's like, "Are you guys out of here yet?" Nope.
Right. No. Sorry. Hey, can I drive your car?
Yeah. I got to go to the store.
No, it'll be fine.
So, we all knew Bernie was going to do well up there. Overall,
feel the burn.
Feel the burn, baby. Overall,
hey, do you think that movie Weekend was at Bernie's was him when he was younger? Because it kind of looks.
That's going to be him when he's president.
Right.
He's so damn old.
Right.
They're just going to have a string on each side.
Presidency with Bernie. It's going to be the next installment of the movie.
It's going to be part 2 when they make him like music sensitive. So whenever there's music, he just gets up and he starts going. Remember that?
I do.
So every time he hears dun 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 dun, you get the whole dun dun.
Do you remember the name of the dance, the song that came out? It was the Bernie Lean.
The Bernie Lean. Do
you remember that? And the reason I know that is because of Coco Crisp, Oakland A's.
Yes.
That was his song, and the entire Oakland A's stadium, everybody would do the Bernie Lean. It was hilarious.
See, not only do we bring you good information here, we bring you history.
Yeah, absolutely, and not only from future history if the Bern gets elected potentially, but baseball history.
Yes, baseball history.
Which is huge.
Right.
By the way, smartass.
Yes.
I did notice in last week's video that you put out that you distinctly pointed out your little Boston Red Sox cup, but you failed to point out the Oakland Athletics display that I have over in my particular workstation.
Well, maybe next time you should do the friggin' video.
I don't know how to do
exactly.
Video. All I'm saying is
just
be
shut
fair.
Up there, big
Listen.
nose.
Listen, all I'm saying is be fair. Especially if we're going to start talking about how Bernie Sanders. Go on, caucuses.
Caucuses. So, but yeah, the biggest surprise.
I'm giggling again.
The biggest surprise to me was Kasich. I actually, and here's what's funny. Just because it's New Hampshire, I actually expected Bush to get into the number 3 spot. I expected Cruz to actually take the second position, and then Rubio, Christie, and Kasich. I knew Carson probably wasn't going to do great in New Hampshire. The Northeast can be a little strange.
I didn't think Rubio was going to do well there.
No, well, exactly,
and he didn't.
He didn't. He didn't do as good as he probably hoped he had done. I thought Bush would do better. Not that I wanted Bush to do better, but I thought he would just because the East Coast, the Bushes are close. Kenny Bunkport, all that whole thing. But I was kind of shocked that Kasich slid into the number 2 spot and have a 4 more percentage vote than Cruz, so that's kind of a big one too. And then, actually, I honestly thought Christie was going to do a lot better than he did in New Hampshire because there's a lot of Northeast conservatives. There's a lot of Chris Christie style Republicans compared to, say, the Dr. Carson or Ted Cruz or the really religious right. There's a lot of centrist Republicans, if you will, and because a lot of them are old Democrats. And kind of like the light on social issues, but conservative on everything else type of people. So I was really expecting Chris Christie to do a lot better. And plus, he's from 2 states away. The Northeast, if nothing else, is people have a tendency to associate themselves with somebody who's close, which is why Bernie did so good in New Hampshire, in my opinion, versus even what they're saying. It's more, I hate to say it, but in the Northeast, you get more neighborhood style opinions. Like, hey, this guy's from the neighborhood, so even though he robs people on a regular basis, he's from our neighborhood. He's not a bad guy per se. He doesn't rob somebody in the neighborhood, but he does rob people. But it's okay because I babysat him when he was a kid. Like, there's that kind of feeling about things. So I thought Christie would do a lot better just based on that.
Yeah.
And he didn't. What about you? Like you said,
here's what I was. So I'm surprised at Rubio for. I'm surprised at Rubio kind of in general right now. And I like Marco Rubio. But here's where I'm surprised at Rubio. Rubio knew that he was going to be attacked on the debate. And he knew what topics that he was going to be attacked on. Yeah. And he still slipped.
Yeah.
He still let the attacks get through and land, and he should have been more disciplined. He should have been ready for them. I mean, and what really gets me is Christie hit him hard.
Yeah.
Hard. And now he's out of the race.
Done.
So now you have Marco Rubio, who really had one of the best chances of beating Hillary if she's the nominee.
Yeah,
and you have Marco Rubio leaving New Hampshire completely battered. He's hurt.
Yeah.
By those attacks. You have Christie, who looks like he may have sacrificed
himself to get rid of Rubio.
To get rid of which is just amazing.
Right, was that
to
a push
me.
to Bush?
I don't know what that was.
Or Kasich? Was that?
I don't think it was a push to Kasich.
I don't know.
Or to Trump.
I've been trying. It's certainly not a push to Trump.
No, but something happened somewhere where I think, and I don't know who. It'll be interesting to kind of keep looking into this. I wonder if somebody went to Christie and said, "Hey, you're out of this.
Yeah,
I'll give you a cabinet position, something. Go after Rubio and
rip him up if you can.
Yep, and if I get the nomination and if I win, it'll be worth your while. And so he sacrificed himself, knowing he wasn't going to win, in order to knock Rubio.
Yeah,
and
underground professor looks like he's agreeing with you wholeheartedly.
And I have to say, Cruz. I'm wondering if Christie threw in with Cruz.
Well,
that would make more sense to me than because Bush hasn't won anything.
No,
and now I get Bush is coming into some stronger states for him, and George W. Bush is actually campaigning for him now, first time on the campaign trail since leaving office, I believe. So that's interesting to me.
That's very interesting.
But either Bush or Cruz really had to knock Rubio down, and it hurt him. So I'm really interested to see if Rubio's going to be able to come through this. And I think he still can. I think he can. He even though he's hurt, he still has a chance to beat Trump. He can still absolutely beat Cruz, and I think he can beat the Hill Dog as well. But it's going to take a lot more work now.
Yeah, and a lot of this comes down. It's funny. A lot of this comes down to what's going to happen with Hill Dog. And I think that's also will change people's vote greatly. If for some strange reason, and we've talked about this, if for some strange reason the FBI fails to launch, if you will, and she is not indicted or otherwise somehow disqualified, then I think that changes who people are walking in and pulling the handle for right now, because I think the country overall will get the anyone but Hillary mentality. Mm-hmm. And we'll go for the easiest versus what may be the tougher fight.
I have to share. When you said pull the handle for somebody, here's literally what I saw. This image flashed through my mind. I saw Hillary standing there giving her speech to a crowd of people, and just a hand reach out, almost like you'd see on the video game Doom or something, right? That kind of the hand reaches out and pulls a big red handle, and Hillary is standing there, and all of a sudden the door opens up and she falls straight down. Yeah,
straight down,
almost like Wile E. Coyote or something.
So, I know
but
that
she's not as funny as Wile E.
I know that's
Coyote.
how people should not be focusing in the primaries is what's going to happen with Hillary. But I think that's.
But you have to,
right?
Look, that's a legitimate concern, because if people are throwing their votes and support to her, that has to be a real question as to, well, if I'm giving my votes to her, what if she does get indicted on all of these things, right? What if more comes out about Benghazi? What if more comes out about the emails? What if more comes out about, whatever, the Clinton Foundation, whatever else it is that she's involved with, all the bodies. Did I say that out loud?
What?
Allegedly.
What?
So, I mean, that has to be a question on people's minds, and I'm wondering how long it's going to take Biden to get in on this.
Yeah, I honestly...
I just want Biden for comedic relief. I'm going to be honest. But I think Biden actually would have a shot to win.
And I think Biden's in the
really
bullpen
do.
right now, to use a baseball terminology.
Yeah.
He's stretching and looking at the scoreboard. He's going to be kind of the old closer where he's, he can't throw like he used to, but he can still slip a few by you.
Right.
And so he's out there stretching right now and decide whether or not he's going to get his go. And I think you may see him.
He's going to have to decide very, very soon because Super Tuesday's coming up on a couple weeks, right?
Super Tuesday.
Was it the first, I think?
What is Super Tuesday this year?
I think it's the first.
It's the first, you're right.
Of course I'm right. Usually am right.
Somebody else. Biden could also be the Prime Minister of Canada. Well, the problem is that's where he's been the last 2 months. He's been all over British Columbia running for office.
That was Ken that said that?
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't say that Biden would be the dark horse or the black sheep. What?
Really?
What?
Really? You just going to say that?
Say what?
You just going to say that?
Say what? Why would you infer something else other than what I meant? Those are completely valid terms. Why would you even
make
insinuate?
A statement that
why would you
on
even
this show
insinuate?
It's my job to do.
You're right. I apologize. I apologize. Listen, you're slipping as the blatant bigot. Somebody had to step in. That's all I'm saying. Ken, I apologize for the dark horse reference because you're black, for listeners that don't know. And I'm sorry that Sean missed his opportunity to be the blatant bigot. You know, Ken, that I am not. And I was merely stepping in for Sean, which he likes to sometimes do for me.
Yeah, well, it's sometimes I just have to. When do I do it for you?
I don't know. My mic was muted for the first 15 minutes of the show.
Well,
because I was checking on booze for us.
What did I tell you?
Get back on time with the alcohol.
Exactly.
And I failed to do that. But that doesn't mean I don't have a bunch of alcohol in my truck.
But you didn't get back quick enough.
Drinking bourbon right now.
Oh yeah, baby. It sounds so smooth. I love how I'm the alcoholic on the show, but yet last week in the video I made, somebody was a little glug glug in the background.
Listen, I have no recollection of that, nor do I know what you were talking about. Clearly, you had some Sacco do some kind of animatronics.
Yeah, animatronics. Because when I think of Sacco, I think of animatronics. Yeah, no, you nailed me on that one. God, I can't get anything by you whatsoever. What are we talking about after the break?
So South Carolina, we're not even near the break right now. So South Carolina's coming up, and I think Bush is going to run strong in South Carolina.
Bush is going to be thick in South Carolina.
Yeah. You're such a kid.
I mean, it's really going to be hard to beat the Bush in South Carolina.
Look, it's going to be hard to get into that one.
Is it?
It is. Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Isn't Shady Thicket down in
here you go.
South Carolina?
So you realize this whole part's going to be edited for the whole. You're going to have to edit this part out when this goes to terrestrial during the edits. You got to throw caucus in there too while you're at it.
Well, Bush will be caucusing down in South Carolina. Right. And I heard even Dick Armey might show up. I don't know if that's true, but the entire Dick Army might show up.
North Korea? What?
Hello.
You see they executed a general?
I wanted to talk about that. We'll do it later because that just kills me. I'm sorry the man died, but...
I'm sorry the man died. No, you're not.
But it's funny. I don't care who you are. South Carolina, talking about Bush, getting thick. Go.
Look,
do you think anyone can wax him in South Carolina?
I think maybe trim him down a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think. Listen, what happens when Bush goes for a Brazilian? Like when he goes
down to Rio for maybe the Olympics or something like that.
Right, something like that.
Yeah,
if he's going to go campaign,
does he change his last name to Bald? I'm just asking.
I'm staring at you right now. I don't even know. where you're going with that.
No, that's fine. Come on.
But Carly Fiorina also got out of the race.
Yeah.
I almost said pulled out, but I don't need to give you any more ammo. So Christie's out, Fiorina's out. Do you think Fiorina would be on somebody's short list for VP?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I do. I think her business background alone.
Yeah.
If Trump, and I still think Trump's not going to make it long term. I really don't.
Look, if he takes South Carolina, he absolutely has a shot to go all the way. He really
I'm
does.
waiting for South Carolina to actually decide whether or not he's going to be able to carry. And like I said,
I still like Rubio Fiorina as a ticket, and I think that's possible if Rubio can pull his head out of his. Yeah.
Well, and again, Cruz really soured me last week. That whole thing with Iowa with Dr. Carson. I think Dr. Carson's a VP candidate too. I really do. I think Dr. Carson's a solid VP candidate, and this may not be his year. And I'm not saying he's not going to have a better year next election. But both of those are very viable candidates. And I know we were talking. Gosh, maybe it was even back in July when we were really talking about the race starting to kick up. We were talking about a Rubio as a VP candidate, and now we're talking about him as a contender. So, the field changes pretty quick. I think that if you don't have Carly as a VP, she should get probably a cabinet position with economy. And
the economy department?
The Department of Economy.
The Department of Economy?
It's like something out of a Three Stooges government.
I think Carly Fiorina, I'm going to point her to the Department of Economy.
Hey, Department of Money. That's your thing. Go get them, baby.
Slap her on the ass.
Why do you have to be sexist?
Have you heard this show before?
Well, yeah, there's that. But, I mean, really, I meant in that exact
How
moment.
much hate mail do we receive on this show? I think it's hilarious that 50% of our listenership.
Oh, yeah.
We insult everybody on this show.
Equally,
including ourselves.
Absolutely. I don't see this. I absolutely don't see why there's any reason why anyone gets upset. See, and those are some people that were trying to dig for people that were really angry.
Exactly.
And they apparently couldn't find anything. We're up against a break. Oh, man. When we come back, we're going to talk about
more on the SHR Media
I
Network.
do. Yeah.
Look, we have
more. We're so good at this professional radio show thing. Well, we're going to talk about stuff here at the Sackheads.
Look, upcoming hour we have Clinton email scandal is growing, of course. We also have soldiers building back up over in
like
Afghanistan.
Bush's numbers in South Carolina. Clinton's email scandal is growing. I'm just saying Bush is growing in South Carolina.
Enough. Just take us to the break. Play us out, Sam.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Cap was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reefer of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com, you will catch the Reefer of Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on shrmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Hey, quick shout out in the chat room, Big Mouth Patriot, Mr. E, as we've called him the few times he's called into the show. Dear friend of mine. We go way, way back. To say that he has saved my life a few times is not an overstretch. Alcohol was sometimes involved and sometimes it wasn't. But a very, very wise man. Just don't ask him how to jump out of boats, and I'll explain that one to you off the air.
Sounds intriguing.
I may have already told you the story, but a very, very dear friend of mine. I'm glad to have him listening. So Hill Dog, she gets in more trouble with computers and emails than a 14-year-old boy with porn. I mean,
could you imagine if computer porn was around when we were 14?
No!
Mom!
Meatloaf!
I need more AOL time. What are you doing in there?
Yeah, but just picture, though, like how long the download would be, right? I found a good one. I got to play this. Oh, good. I'll come back in 3 weeks to watch it.
Listen, it was bad enough when we were growing up that you had to, like, get the Cinemax or whatever it was with the fuzzy thing. And you're like, yeah, I think I see a nipple. I mean, come on.
See, we had the old punch box where if you did A and B back and forth, you could actually get it for a little bit. Yeah.
But the problem is both your hands are busy hitting the A and B real quick, and you can't do anything with it. Oh, my gosh.
Look, if you didn't hit VCR record first, you were hosed.
Right. Mom, I thought you were asking me to be gone longer. Okay. Oh, man.
What are you doing home? It's Tuesday. We've been gone since Friday.
All right. So I do have to give a shout out to Google. Look, we have talked bad about Google on this show in the past.
Yeah.
Particularly since they typically have
Scramble Vision. Sorry, comment.
Particularly since they've a lot of they're anti-2A a lot, and there was the whole thing where they came out where they were putting you'd search for certain gun things and they were doing weird things with their search engine. Anyways, Google actually began showing anti-ISIS ads to counter terrorism.
Really?
Yes, and so I might have to start using Google again as a search engine as opposed to the one I've been using because I stopped using Google for a while after that. But Google is using highly targeted advertising system to battle ISIS. And what they're doing is Anthony House, who's their senior manager for public policy and communications over at Google's, basically came out and said that they're going to show users anti-radicalization links when they put in terrorism-related searches.
Wow, I'm pretty impressed.
Yes. The program is still in the pilot stages, but even the fact that Google is trying to find a way where they, as a private company, could combat terrorism or people that are searching for terrorist-related radical links through using their product through their site.
They're putting skin in the game.
Absolutely, they are. Absolutely, they are. So I had to come out and give Google some credit on that. Since we've talked negatively about Google, I found this story, and we try and be pretty fair here. Well, I mean, we are an opinion show. We do have a point of view.
And the other thing that they own is YouTube. And one of the things that they're going to do on their YouTube station, or station? No, I think it's a website. On the YouTube box is make anti-extremism videos more discoverable to kind of continue that effort. And trying to just counteract on social media, all these other things. I think that's, I think it's commendable. I really do. Like I said, I have my disagreements with Google. You have your disagreements with Google. But in this case, I really, really appreciate the fact that they're doing something. And listen, for all these CARE and all these other Muslim groups who say they're anti-ISIS but do nothing to put their money where their mouth is, Google, who has large pockets and doesn't really need to appease anybody.
Right.
There's no reason. You could say, oh, maybe there's a little politics in here for popularity. They don't need that. Google doesn't need popularity. Google doesn't need to find a new market. Like, they're not trying to fight with Yahoo anymore. Those days are long gone. Google is Google. But the fact that they're actually doing that willingly, I give them a lot of credit. Dave's going to go post that in his newsroom right away.
Is he?
Yeah, newsrooms, if you don't remember, from like 1996. It doesn't matter. Just go on.
Listen, I totally understand newsroom.
Not the TV show.
No.
Okay, good.
No. What were we talking about? So, Hill Dog. Fox News had an exclusive that came out, and it's their exclusive, so I want to credit their story. But Catherine Heritage and Pamela Brown wrote a story, and it was published today, that said that there's at least a dozen email accounts that handled that top-secret intel that was found on Hillary's private server. And these are the messages that were recently deemed too damaging to national security to be released.
Wow.
At least a dozen different email accounts.
For those who can't picture a dozen, open up a carton of eggs.
What if it's one of the larger eggs, though? See, that's really not...
That's probably going to be, eventually, when all this is said and done, that's probably how many people are going to actually be accessible to these top-secret documents.
Okay, if you can't picture a dozen, think about this. Think about the movie The Dirty Dozen and how many of them there were, and that's a dozen. So, what? What? Why you're staring at me like that? That made perfect sense in my world.
Right. I just didn't know if you were talking about the Dirty Dozen was the video with the... But go ahead.
No, that was a different movie. This is not The Dirty Dozen.
Sorry.
What is with you tonight?
I don't know.
All right. So
it was a great movie.
Great movie, right?
Yeah, it really
the real Dirty Dozen, not the...
No. The original Dirty Dozen was actually an amazingly well done movie.
So the accounts of folks that the email accounts where these messages passed through were her top aides. Cheryl Mills, we've all heard that name before. Huma Abedin.
Oh yeah, we've heard that before.
Abba not going to work here anymore.
Abba not going to be walking around free anymore.
Jake Sullivan. I don't know who. Philippe. Your name Philip. You're in America. Call it Philip. Don't call it Philippe.
Phil.
The Undersecretary of State Department, Patrick F. Kennedy, and there were some other folks as well. So this is interesting. What this report to Fox News said is that the number of accounts involved could be as high as 30. And it's representative.
I told you it would be more like the big eggs.
Yeah. And it's representative of how this intel was shared on these unsecure. I mean, amazing. How is she? I don't know.
How is it to the point that Petraeus gets prosecuted for an otherwise common action that occurs in Washington, D.C., but Hill Dog's walking around free as a bird, and not only is she walking around free as a bird, she has government paid protection the entire time she's doing it. But yet, Petraeus had to fight to maintain his rank from the military after all of this happened, which Ash Carter came out last week and said that he would maintain his rank, which is the right thing to do in my opinion, even though he's retired. But Hill Dog's walking around free as a bird. This is beyond gross negligence. And you know what? If I find out that not me personally, but if I was a person in the intelligence industry, Department of State, whatever, and I find out that my information could have possibly be released because of Hillary's negligence, I would start filing lawsuits. I would file civil suits right away against her. And not just to take her money, but because she has to suffer. And until it happens, I believe she's going to be prosecuted. But as time goes on, maybe I'm just getting more antsy to have it finally happen because I think it needs to happen. I think with all this evidence that's starting to come out, you really, really, really need to have some sort of closure in all of this. And listen, this isn't even the Benghazi thing. That's a totally separate issue. And I was talking to somebody about Hillary, and they were pro-Hillary, so it was a really hard conversation for me to have. But, you know, we were talking about the email thing, and so we went for about 20 minutes, and then I changed gears, and I brought up Benghazi. And we went about 20 minutes, and I brought up Whitewater just for the hell of it. Went about another 15 minutes, and I went up when she was dismissed in the 60s by the feds because she was a liar, essentially. And so finally I said to her, how many times does this woman have to do something dishonest, underhanded, and or illegal before you finally don't vote for her? Like, what's the end? What is the end game for anyone who's voting for Hillary right now? You have to answer that question for me. You know, a lot of people point to, like, what happened with Al Capone. When they're like, hey, you know what? You know, they only got Al Capone on, or Al Capone was never convicted of murder. No, they got him on tax evasion. But he's still a convict.
Yes.
And he still did federal time. And only because he covered his tracks did he not get a hookup for murder. But he still did his time. Like, there was still guilt there somewhere. But they went after Al Capone like crazy for years, and the only thing to get him on tax evasion. And I'm not saying that Hillary outright killed people like Capone did, and I'm not saying that she is a killer like Capone is, per se. However...
Per se?
Well, you know...
Ish.
I think per se is very applicable in that statement.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just noting the ish quality you lent that. That's all. That's all. Just making an observation. I'm just over here observing.
Anyone who wants to know what per se means, Google it and look for the Latin translation.
Right. Yeah, there's an R in that. Per se.
Per se.
Per se. Per se.
Per se.
P-E-R... I don't know how you spell say.
S-E with a thingy on the end, I think. Like one of those dangly ones. Anyhow, so, but the point I'm getting at, and I'm not the person who came up with that analogy. Actually, Phil Cowan, who's a radio show host out here, is the first time I had heard that, but I think it's a great analogy. How much more do you need before you, the voter, realize Hillary Clinton is an evil, awful human being?
Oh, I recognize that already, so why are you pointing your finger at me?
I was talking to Hillary supporters.
Oh.
How many more transgressions that she used, or committed, if you will, while she was in power?
One real one, not one that's made up by the right-wing conspiracy that's hell-bent on trying to take Hillary down.
Does one need... And it's really frightening to me. I would rather you come and prove to me all the good things that Hillary does versus the bad at this point. Like, it's gotten to that point where what does she bring to the table? She's not
not dinner.
She's not
dinner, right?
She's not an outsider. You know, she talks this big game about being a Washington outsider. She's lived in Washington since 91? And then before that, she lived in the
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
What?
Is that?
What?
Who was the comedian that made the joke? They looked at Kansas, said, "You are Kansas? We are Kansas." And that was how they came up with Arkansas. Anyhow, you know, you live in the governor's mansion there, and you've been working government your whole life. I mean, for somebody who's not a Washington insider, one of her first jobs as a lawyer was working on the investigation with Nixon for the federal government. She was a government employee. So I want them to prove, oh, well, she has good ideas. But how can you believe anything coming out of her mouth at this point? Anything. You look at how many times she's lied. You look at how many times she's been proven dishonest. You read through the stories of the people that used to work for her. There was the book that came out last year where all of her former staff just annihilated the Clintons. You look at the deals that were made while she was Secretary of State to allow the Russians into mines. You look at all the money with the Clinton Foundation and how dirty that money is. Tell me why this woman is even polling above 0.5%. Because there's nobody else. That's why. Because there is nobody else. Bernie Sanders is a flash in the pan. I don't truly believe Bernie Sanders is going to get voted anywhere anymore. He got voted in Vermont because it's Vermont, the land of Ben and Jerry's, and there's a ton of socialists up there. Few conservatives, sorry, Egg, but a lot of socialists. And he's cool right now. Bernie's kind of cool right now, and that's about it. Saturday Night Live nailed that with that a couple months ago when they did the fake debate. You know, he's the cool song of the summer, but Hillary Clinton's Happy Birthday, you're going to be singing it every year until you die. Like, she's a constant. You know, Bernie's going to come and go, but where is the reality in this country where somebody like Hillary can keep polling well and people showing up to support her? Are you supporting her blindly because she's a female running? Why didn't you do that with Fiorina? If that's your reason, just to see a woman in office, a stupid reason, by the way. It's the same people who wanted to vote for Obama because he was a black man. That's just as racist as not voting for Obama because he's a black man. As much as you don't, I want to be part of something bigger and elect the first person. I want to elect the first president who's going to send this country back to what it should be. I want to elect the first president that actually understands our Constitution.
And that's why we're running a campaign, Vote for Sackhead Clint.
Who ran last year unsuccessful.
Right, and unopposed, which was weird.
Your caucus in Iowa I thought was great.
My caucus is great no matter where it is. Listen, that's not what we're talking about right now, Sean. But thank you for bringing that up.
Why didn't they do that for Palin? Good point, Ag.
Yeah. You know why Hillary Clinton is still popular. Look at the media, the other media outlets other than Fox News. Fox News is really kind of keeping this story in the forefront. How many other news organizations, besides SHR, is High Plains, and Fox, who else really is keeping this story out there in the minds of the voters? Look, MSNBC downplays it, right?
Huge.
CNN downplays it.
Huge.
So the other two major media networks where people get their news from, the story's not out there. And these are primaries right now. So the people that are voting in the Democratic primaries, I mean, they're voting for a self-avowed, a known socialist.
Yes.
Somebody, Bernie Sanders, who has come out and said, I am a socialist. So these people aren't watching the news outlets that are bringing the story out. those people, for the most part, probably aren't going to see 13 Hours in the movie theaters.
Nope.
They're not reading the books.
Nope.
They're not watching the interviews with Chris and the other operators that were there. So in that sense, looking at it through those optics, I'm really not surprised at the fact that Hillary still has the support she has. Some people are paying attention just because it's been out there so much, and I think that's why her numbers have slipped. But she's still going to have those diehard supporters where she can do no wrong. Look at Obama's supporters. Right? There are
To this day.
To this day, there is a large segment of his supporters where he can do no wrong.
Granted, the tarnish has worn the last few years.
Right.
Or the shine has worn to a tarnish, if you will, the last few years. And I think a lot of people have woke up to the Obama BS. But what do they think is going to happen with Hillary? Does anybody on this planet actually think Hillary Clinton is running for president to serve the people? Just sit and think about that for a minute. Do you think her primary focus is to serve the people of this nation and respect the Constitution? That's the two things that you really should look at first in a president. What's their reasoning and what is their goal? If it's to community organize and fundamentally change America, probably not a good person to vote for. If it's to, I don't even know what Hillary's platform is, other than mandatory pantsuits and bob haircuts. I don't know what else is there. I'm going to make sure health care gets better. What are you going to do, Hillary? I'm going to make sure health care gets better. Guns! I'm going after guns, damn it! All the guns I can get!
Not for me personally.
Right, no, I have them all around
I have them all around me protecting me.
You wouldn't believe how many guns are here right now to protect me.
But you can't have guns.
But you peon, you do nothing, you good for nothing voter. Mrs. Clinton, he's voting for you. I mean, my buddy, old pal, I want to protect you from yourself.
Right, because you're too stupid to do it.
Exactly. And that's all I see out of Hillary. Like I said,
Look,
I don't believe
she's moving farther left.
Well, she has to.
How? Okay, but now she's getting ready to go into states where they're not that far.
Well, then she'll move further right.
That shit crazy. Why are you yelling? Your voice just went up like 3 octaves.
I mean, she's a goddamn
there you go.
transformer. Yes. Just whatever state she's in.
She's a transformer.
It was like
she's a transformer.
She is.
She's just like a big metal robotic beast.
Just the stupid one.
It's a stupid one.
No, actually,
and she's a Decepticon because she's deceiving,
absolutely
conniving.
She's actually a very, very good politician. That's part of the problem.
A politicicon.
You know, it was almost like when did Obama show up in 2008 with a cowboy hat, eating a piece of straw? All of a sudden, was it Iowa?
I don't know.
Was it going into Iowa, where he all of a sudden? She's the same type of thing, like. Where she just shows up and she's like, "Hey, y'all!" And there's a great comparison video for Hillary out there, where depending on where she was is what her accent was. So when she was down south, she had more of a southern accent. When she goes to the Midwest, she had the Midwestern accent.
I've seen that.
She goes to California, she had a Mexican accent.
What? Nothing. I'm listening. Look, I want to get back to Hillary and these emails real quick. There was a. The State Department recently confirmed that the messages included the most sensitive kind of intel. And we talked about the 22 top secret emails that were being withheld in full. We talked about that, I think, last week on the show. The State Department spokesman, Mark Toner, was asked specifically if damage assessment is being done. And what he said, quote, "To your broader question, what is being done to, as you say, spillage, I can't speak to those efforts today. We're aware, obviously, of those concerns. We're taking steps, but I don't have any more details to provide."
Spillage?
That's, yeah, I hate it when that happens. So, look, the State Department knows that they're in trouble. I think. And why is the State Department checking on spillage when the intel came from other sources? I would think, and I would almost guarantee that those agencies are looking hard at this. Think about what we're talking about, right? If the State Department if 22 of these emails contain information that is so sensitive that they can't be released at all. You can't release a piece of paper that's blacked out because you can match the pattern of blackout to a leaked document. It's that bad. 22 of them that we know of. And you have agencies that originated that intel. How many? I don't know. I'm guessing more than one. But just the fact that that type of damage control has to be done, and some of that intel was human intel or came from human intel, which can put lives at risk.
Huge.
Yeah. I mean, how can there not be any kind of accountability for this woman?
I don't know. I am beyond... I don't have an answer, and that's the problem. It doesn't matter how many skeletons we pull out of her
And this
closet.
is what I mean. So I have... And let me know if you think this is possible. Just possible.
All right.
We're going to go Twilight Zone here for a moment.
Possible.
Right? Twilight Zone.
Forget about it.
You've entered a world where Hillary Clinton... Okay. So Hillary Clinton gets indicted. Quickly, she pleads guilty. President Obama, as he's going out, pardons her.
Totally possible. Totally possible.
Right? So maybe we go from hurry
Going
up and
out,
get...
he might pardon her the day she's convicted.
Nah, too much blowback, right?
No,
maybe,
I don't
think about when pardons happen.
He
When
doesn't
did
care. He
Schwarzenegger
doesn't
pardon? Now think, when did Schwarzenegger pardon whatever that politician's kid was that got in trouble in Southern California? I mean, they do it like 12th hour on their way out, right at midnight
I
or
don't
whatever.
think he cares, and that's the difference. I don't think Obama cares.
Either way.
It's about maintaining power.
Either way. What is the possibility of Hill Dog getting indicted, pleading guilty, and getting pardoned?
85%.
You think 85%?
Oh, yeah.
That high?
Yeah.
What's the chat room think?
Chat room.
I don't even have the Jeopardy theme song, but I need it. We're up against a break.
Does
chat room have any weigh in on that?
Not before break.
Oh, okay.
I'll get to them after break.
I'm
sure
sure
they're
you will.
a little slow
you
in the
just
chat.
completely shut them out. That was
What?
mean of you.
What?
I don't know.
What happened? This whole thing's
What?
breaking. Hey, we're going to be back in a few minutes here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live from the SHR Media Network. Stick around.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Cop was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reefer of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com, you will catch the Reverb Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on shrmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Who would name their child after a rod of ham? Deep Thoughts by Joe Biden. Just wait, that'll hit you in like an hour because it took me a little bit. I'm not telling you.
In like an hour?
Yeah, like an hour. You're gonna be like laying in bed later and you'll be like, oh, I get it, rod of ham. Just trust me, you will.
Hillary.
No, just
Rodham,
just keep going. Oh man! Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network.
Wow!
Oh, so what do you got?
Deep Thoughts by Joe Biden.
Deep Thoughts by Joe Biden.
Is "It's It" really shorthand for ISIS or vice versa?
Why is there a pair of panties but just one bra? Deep Thoughts by Joe Biden. Why do we drive on a parkway and park in a driveway? Deep Thoughts by Joe Biden.
No. Are you done?
I'm done. Go ahead.
So, have you heard about the Sun Ladies?
I have not heard about the Sun Ladies.
So, the Sun Ladies are former ISIS sex slaves that are now an army that are ready to go fight and kill the terror group.
You're kidding me.
No.
I think this is something that should happen more. Go on.
So, these ladies and their families were forced by ISIS into sexual slavery. Mm-hmm. And they are now calling themselves the Sun Ladies, and they're ready to fight. There's about 2,000 Yazidi women who were captured in August 2014, and they have escaped and have now armed themselves to fight against ISIS.
That's amazing. I'm actually very happy to hear that. I mean, I've talked about the Kurdish female fighters before, mm-hmm. and how brave I think they are. This brings it to a totally different level. These are victims who have escaped, and I'm not saying the Kurdish women weren't victims on some level or another either.
Right.
But these are essentially rape victims who have escaped their captors.
Forced into
sex trade.
Yep.
Escaped their captors and have now sought the training and equipment to go back and fight against the same captors. I think that should be a movie.
Yeah, and look, they've undergone training.
Yep.
And they fight almost daily with ISIS.
That's awesome.
I agree.
I mean, it sucks that they have to. Don't get me wrong.
But they want to.
Yes.
They're proud to do this. And look, their ages range, according to this report, they range from ages 17 to 37.
Bravo.
And there are another 500 who are waiting to be trained.
Godspeed.
So they can go fight.
I truly mean that. Godspeed. That is an absolutely... It's a heartwarming story. It starts in tragedy. It truly does. But they have used their status as a victim to turn it into a good thing. I think this should be a story. I think this should be a lesson taught to young people all over the world, not just females. This is, yes, modern day with the fight against ISIS, it's very important. It's very germane to what's going on.
He was one of the Jacksons, right?
Tito.
You said germane.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But the reality is this is an amazing story of a group of people who were victimized, who were able to free themselves or get freed, and then instead of just going away, turning around and bringing the fight and risking their lives, and risking even worse, I'm sure in their minds, and maybe I'm wrong, even worse, risking putting themselves back in the position they had already escaped from. Because if they're caught, there's a good chance they'll end up there if they're not executed immediately. So there's a lot at risk more than just putting on a uniform and pulling a trigger for these ladies. This is amazing therapy, I'm sure. It's got to be. It's got to be ridiculously therapeutic to be able to go back and fight the bastards that would do that to you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I don't know. Have you ever spoken to somebody who's been victimized and they would love to go back and beat the hell out of the attacker or the captor? So, I think this is an amazing story, and this is something that is probably getting more downplayed than it should be in the media, because I had not heard about this to this point. And I'm pretty media savvy. And this is a story, and again, you have Yazidi women protecting their own homeland, protecting their own freedom, if you will, on top of their bodies, and bring it to fight to ISIS. This is win-win, in my humble opinion. I think this is a great story. It's sad how it had to start, but I'm really, really glad to hear this, and I think it's pretty amazing.
So another story I want to get to, the Supreme Court, Obama had those power plant regulations to stave off global warming, and the Supreme Court pretty much slapped that down. Didn't slap down the regulations, but basically halted the new regulations, which would companies would have to spend potentially billions of dollars in order to comply with a rule that's being challenged in court that may be overturned, and I think didn't take effect till 2020 or something of that nature. And so in a 5-4 split decision, the court stopped enforcement of that plan until all of the legal challenges are resolved.
Wait, are you saying that once again Obama put a law or a rule into effect that would affect
overstepped his
people
overstepped his constitutional
while
authority?
overstepping his constitutional
Yes,
authority,
that's
and
exactly
it wouldn't
what I
take place
said.
till after he was out of office, so
Right.
he wouldn't get his legacy wouldn't get tarnished by
Yes.
it? Get out!
I know, weird. Never think that would happen ever.
What are the odds? I mean,
100%.
that's insane to me.
That's just silly.
That's just silly. I can't believe that would happen.
That's just silly. So the compliance period would start in 2022, but states would have to get the EPA their plans by, I think it was this September, or I think they can get an extension. So look, again, could have had a major economic impact here. And so the court basically said, no, we're going to halt this compliance until the legal challenges are worked out, and then go from there. So victory for
business
and the power industry and the Constitution, and not so much for the president.
Well, and as often as we are the first ones to go after the Supreme Court for bad decisions, you got to give them credit when they make a good one.
But it was 5-4, so let's not give them too much credit.
They still did it.
Let's not give them too much credit. Open carry in Texas became law. Folks began to do that, and all the doomsdayers were, oh my goodness, it's going to be dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria.
And it wasn't.
What?
Yeah, it wasn't.
I was waiting for the newspaper to show me where 45,000 people died the first
in a
weekend.
huge gunfight.
In a humongous,
just one big gunfight.
Everyone just kind of got together and they're like, okay, corral.
It was like one of those video games where you just ran around everybody willy-nilly, just shooting up everything.
Willy-nilly. I love that phrase.
Right? Hey, boys, we're meeting up at the Alamo, and just go from there.
Everyone bring your good ammo.
Right. Now, what I could have seen happening is everybody going to the Mexican border and maybe starting a war, but that didn't happen either.
But they really didn't need to open carry at that point.
Right.
So that would have already happened.
Right.
Well, good. And once again, Texas, our hats are off for you for getting things right.
Yep.
It's just amazing to me, and I have a couple friends in Texas who I'm envious of. One of them's in the chat room, but he knows who he is. But good story, and I'm glad to hear that, through the grace of God, it wasn't just a massive bloodbath once it was instituted. I don't even know how that... Oh, right, because it's responsible gun owners with good gun laws. That's right, I forgot. So go ahead, go on.
I want to move over to another peninsula. Not that Texas is a peninsula.
I was going to say.
Look, Texas is in the southern part of the United States, so is Florida. Florida's a peninsula, so on to another peninsula.
On to the penis state. Go.
Everybody follow that. Korea.
What?
What?
But
what's the problem?
Because it's funny. There's a comedian, Bob Newhart. You know who Bob Newhart is,
yes.
Right? Did a stand-up years ago where he's talking about how you should never segue as a comedian from one thing to the other from one topic to the other without having a segue.
Right.
And he told this whole story to mention the word airplanes that had nothing to do with anything. And then he goes, speaking of airplanes, and went into the new, and you just did the exact same thing. It was brilliant.
Thank you.
What's going on with our good friends in North Korea?
No, I said South Korea.
Oh.
You're going to get to North Korea. I'm going to talk about South Korea, which is going to segue to North Korea. I thought this through. If you notice, I had a few steps planned here. We go Texas to Florida Peninsula, Peninsula to Korea, South Korea, which will segue into your North Korea.
I checked out like 20 minutes ago. Go ahead.
I know. This is why I prepped the show. So, look, it's in my flow chart right here. Take a look. So, South Korea and Washington, the United States are starting talks about deploying a missile defense system in South Korea. And I can only imagine this is because of the North and their jackassery.
Yeah,
which is a great term, by the way.
Right,
I've used that a couple. I've used jackassery a couple times today, and actually said somebody else can use it as well. Gotten compliments on it. But the senior South Korea Defense Ministry official told several reporters that there's talks on the missile defense system to bolster the South Korea-U.S. defense. Because of all of the escalating tensions with North Korea. Unfortunately, that probably means that China's not going to be too happy with it.
Russia either.
Or Russia,
because I think both of them have money in North Korea's missile program, and that's just my humble opinion, but I've said that for a while now.
Yeah. Look, but China specifically, we know China. Look, North Korea launched a long-range rocket. The international community said, hey, don't do it. They said, hurrah, and did it anyways.
And nothing has happened as a result.
Of course not. It was fired from North Korea's west coast. Its path was tracked by South Korea, Japan, and the United States. The UN Security Council, they said, we strongly condemn it. So good job.
Nanny, nanny, boo-boo.
You guys nailed that one again. They just need to disband the UN. The UN just needs to go away. So with these rising tensions and with North Korea launching missiles and so forth, it's a possibility that South Korea is going to get a missile defense system,
and rightfully so.
Rightfully so, but that's going to raise tensions even more, right? Because then North Korea is going to say, "Oh, why you do that?" And then China is going to say something very similar, and Russia, I don't know.
He's not good, my friend.
He's not good.
He's not good, friend. For you, missile system, vodka, bad.
No, he wouldn't say vodka bad.
Vodka good,
right.
Missile defense system bad.
Bad. Missiles that we put to get through is good.
In communist Russia, missile defense system for you is bad.
Right. And in communist Russia,
missile system that able to fly without missile defense system is good. For you, he's not so good. But for us, he's good. And if for us he's good, then for you is good. No defense system for you is bad, okay?
Are we clear?
What?
Yeah, I'm pretty clear on that. Thanks. That really summed it right up.
All right. Now, you had some news out of North Korea.
Hello.
Little Kim.
Riddle Kim Jong-un out of North Korea has yet killed another top military chief on charges of corruption, as well as deriving funds from the something or other. Which I mean, listen, this guy could stole $20 and it screws up their whole economy. So I can understand why he might be a little upset if this is the case. If this General Ri Young Gil.
I love it. If this is the case.
Well, I mean,
really,
it's not like a worldwide investigation was done. Listen, this guy has a tendency to purge top leaders who he even has a notion that they may be plotting against them and or not completely following his order. And he killed another one. And this guy was number 3 in the overall North Korean totalitarian communist government. He was number 3. He was pretty high up. I mean, you remember last year he killed his uncle, who was one of his top ministers, who was also one of his closest advisors. I think he killed his the guy's wife as well. He's been killing anyone who he feels is stepping slightly outside. North Korea's government is reward those that follow, and anyone that may slightly disagree is to kill in a very public manner, in a very public way. South Korean intelligence realized that this guy hasn't shown up since sometime in mid-January, and many news outlets are reporting over there that he was executed for corruption. I just love the fact that anyone in that Kim Jong-un can look at anybody else and be like, that guy's corrupt as shit. We got to kill him. Really?
Well, yeah.
Your whole country lives in squalor. You live in these amazing palaces, and you're talking about corruption. And yeah.
Easy, Bernie.
I don't want government to have all the power.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right.
So, once again, our good friend Kim Jong-un, has to come out, and I don't know if he shot him full of rice or whatever they do over there, crazy. But
what is with you? Are you kidding me?
Because they do weird and sick ways of killing people. Remember they shot the guy with the AAA gun 6 months ago?
Yes, but that was amazing.
So you don't think if he tortured him by pumping him full of something and causing him to die?
You said rice.
Right.
Because you are a blatant
It's the number one product they have over there.
Oh, so they're doing it for
readily
economic
available.
reasons?
Yes.
They don't have money for ammunition?
Yes,
I apologize.
jerk.
I thought you were being...
God, why is everything about you about race, man?
It's not. It's about you. Did you say rice?
Rice.
Nothing about me is about rice.
It's fried rice, you prick.
You stop.
Why?
Because
it's funny, damn it.
Racist or funny? I need a call right now in the chat room.
Racist or funny, my Kim Jong-un impersonation, and the rice killing incident.
Right. 2 separate votes.
2 separate votes.
Kim Jong-un we voted on before, and that's funny. Rice killing, given that context. We need a vote on that.
Agador, I think, siding with me. He said he's about fried wontons, which is another way that they kill people over there.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. It was just a guess.
Right, allegedly.
So we're going with funny.
We're going with funny. All right. Chat room spoke. It's funny.
Actually, all right, so Agador is saying funny racist. I'm sorry, Jersey Joe, funny racist.
Okay.
Dave says the exact same thing. He said both. It's very runny. Big Mouth Patriots going funny. So overwhelmingly funny in my favor this time.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Listen, it's a sad...
It's funny.
It's funny. Hello. It is a sad state. I mean, listen, I'm sorry this guy died.
I'm not.
A lot of times...
Look, he was a general in the North Korean army. He was as big an a-hole probably as trying to...
But a lot of times... What's
with their hats?
They're awesome. They're old Russian military uniforms.
I want one of those, but they're huge.
Oh, I know, right? They look like a Pez dispenser.
Yes.
I love it.
I want one of those hats.
I love when you see one of their generals, one of their privates, and he's got like 40 billion awards and medals. I love that. That's like my favorite thing in the world. Because that's like, hey, we can't give you a raise, but here's another medal.
Right. You tied your shoes.
Congratulations.
Right.
You had shoes to tie. Congratulations.
You hit the paper at 5 yards.
Good job.
Good
with
job.
the stone. Next year, maybe we'll get a gun for you.
Right.
No, I do feel, anytime somebody's murdered by the hand of government, and I don't care if it's our government or another government, it's a little weird. It's kind of sad. But usually what you find out in these situations, if you do a little bit of research, is he was trying to lessen the grip of Kim Jong-un in some way, maybe reaching out back channels, trying to communicate with democratic governments. It's no secret in North Korea that there are many in the North Korean government who want things to change, but his grip is such that it can't without any sort of outside assistance. And this is what happens when you get caught even hinting. I mean, listen, this is a country where everybody believed, or was made to believe, whether they actually believe it or not, that Kim Jong-il was like born on a mountain. And his first game of golf, he had 18, he shot in 18 hole-in-ones. 17, he got one mulligan, I guess. I don't know how that works out. But, they continuously control the North Korean people through lack of information, fear, all the re-education camps, as they love to call them re-education camps, which they're death camps.
No, they're re-education camps.
Yes, they're re-education camps. And it's a typical communist country. And listen, it's the same thing we saw when Russia was at its height at the Soviet Union. And you saw it also with the Nazis, right? Anyone that didn't fall in line, they'd kill them and get them out of the way. Even at the end, and I don't know if you've ever seen, what was it, The Downfall, which was the movie all in Germany about the bunker. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant movie. But even at the end, Hitler believed that they lost the war because nobody would listen to him.
Right.
And not because he was a horrible leader or military leader. He was so convinced that it was them not listening, not following his orders, that they lost. And that's how these dictators, fascist, communist, or otherwise, stay in power is,
Did you say dictators?
Yes. I think in Hitler's...
Like potatoes?
Like potatoes. I think in Hitler's point of view, he actually started to believe his bullshit. But in Kim Jong-un's point of view, even I think he was raised to believe it, and I think on some level he buys into it, as well as, kills people to maintain his power. But it's a sad state of affairs, and I feel bad for the people over there. I really do, and I always will. I don't think they know they can fight back. I don't think they know how to fight back. They control, and they're such a desolate country that it would be so hard for us to motivate, or any other country, to motivate an opposition. And they have enough military power to maintain within their own nation. They may not be able to win an outright war with us or South Korea or whatever. They have the numbers, but they don't have the working equipment. But as far as putting down peasants, they could absolutely do that. So it is a sad state over there. It is pretty horrible.
South Korea is a sad state.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
I just want one of those hats.
Dude, all that, and you just want a friggin' hat.
I do. I think we should have those as sackhead hats.
Dude.
I wonder if we could order those.
Well, remember we were going to put Sacco in uniform years ago?
Yes.
That was like one of the things we wanted to do. He had to be in a uniform. We were thinking like the white Russian Navy jackets.
Seriously, look at those things.
Those are awesome. I love that.
Why are they so big?
Why aren't they so big? You got to understand, bigger is better over there. And they're amazing. How do you not like those?
No, I do. I do.
If you haven't, Google North Korea military hats. And you will see the biggest, ginormous hat sitting on a person. It's almost like a Benny Hill stunt or something like that. It's just so over the top crazy.
Yeah, you Google like the big hat.
The big hat.
No, seriously. Because they have a couple different versions, but it's the big hat. It's ridiculous. Oh my gosh.
You just Googled the big hat?
No, just Google North Korean military big hat.
Okay.
Take a look. Did you do it?
I'm doing it as we speak.
Okay. You got to do it live on air.
Oh, that's a big sumbitch.
Right?
You know who they look like? They look like Toadstool from Super Mario Brothers.
Yes.
I don't know.
Hang on. Shopping.
So if you Google that, and then you get the first result, and then it shows like a couple of images. The third picture to the right. So the picture to the left is 6 toadstools in a circle around Kim Jong-un. And then just to the right of that, there's a picture of all these military leaders, and they literally have more medals and emblems on them than a rock, like a leather rock jacket. Like, hey, are you seeing that one?
Yeah.
This is just amazing. It looks like their uniform was friggin' bedazzled. Yes.
Oh yeah, I found it.
Oh, my question is
those are really brave guys. Obviously.
How does this guy stay in power?
We're out of time.
Have you seen his haircut?
Yes.
We'll be back next week, folks, live from the SHR Media Studios. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everybody listening in the chat room and hanging out with us.
Next week we're going to talk about Russian tanker hats and why do they look like dead beavers.
Don't miss that and many other important subjects. Like, who did Kim Jong-un murder this week?
By the way, that was a Joe Biden deep thought.
Deep thought by Joe Biden. Make sure you check out all the great shows here on SHR Media. The Exceptional Conservative, Jersey Joe, the Bill Martinez Show in the morning. I got to start pushing the morning. Craig Matthews. I always forget to push the afternoon and morning guys because we're late night folks. Always good to listen to. The Unpleasant Blind Guy, his Valentine's Day specials are out. Make sure you check them out. We will see you next Wednesday, 11 on the East Coast, 8 on the West Coast. Thank you so much for joining us. Stick with SHR Media for more great shows. Talk to you soon. Or then later.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. But for those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Talk, dude. Talk, dude.
Radio.
Talk, dude. Talk, dude.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.